Hey, hey. Welcome back, everybody. It's so good to see you here. Well, I guess I can't see you. But you know what I mean. You're here. I'm here. And that's what matters, right? So grab your coffee, grab your tea, grab whatever you're drinking right now. Oh, and if you're eating snacks, no judgment from me. Honestly, I wish I could join you. I've got my coffee right here. It's a little cold now because I forgot about it. That happens to me literally every single morning. I make coffee, I sit down, I start talking, and then the coffee just gets cold. Every single time. Anyway, welcome. If you're new here, hello. My name is Jake, and this channel is all about learning English in a natural, relaxed way. No boring grammar drills. No stiff textbook sentences. Just real conversation, real stories, real English that people actually use in their daily lives. And if you've been here before, welcome back, my friend. Seriously, it means the world to me that you keep coming back. It really does. Okay, so today we are going to talk about something really exciting. Something that doesn't happen every year. Something that millions and millions of people all around the world are going to be watching very, very soon. We are talking about the 2026 Winter Olympics. Yes, the Winter Olympics. One of my absolute favorite events in the entire world. And I have a lot to say about it. Stories, opinions, some fun facts, a little bit of history, and honestly, just a lot of excitement. Because I am pumped about this. Like, genuinely excited. So let's just dive right in. Let's go. Okay, so first things first. Let's just make sure everyone is on the same page. Because maybe some of you watching right now are thinking, Jake, I know what the Olympics are. And that's great. That's perfect. But some of you might be a little less familiar, and that is totally okay. We're going to cover everything. So, the Olympics. Most people know the Summer Olympics. Track and field, swimming, gymnastics, soccer. Those are the big ones, right? The ones that get the most attention. And those happen every 4 years. But the Winter Olympics, those are different. The Winter Olympics are all about sports that you do in the snow and the ice. And honestly, in my personal opinion, the Winter Olympics are cooler. Pun intended. We're talking about figure skating, ski jumping, ice hockey, snowboarding, speed skating, bobsled, luge, which, by the way, is basically lying on a tiny sled and going down an icy track at over 140 kilometers per hour, which is absolutely insane if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. Like, who decided that was a sport? Who looked at a frozen track going straight downhill and said, you know what, I'm gonna lie down on a piece of metal and slide down that as fast as I can. That person was either incredibly brave or, I don't want to be rude. Let's just say very adventurous. So anyway, the Winter Olympics. They happen every 4 years, just like the Summer Olympics, but they're in different years. So you get an Olympic Games pretty much every 2 years when you count both summer and winter together, which, as a sports fan, I love, because it means there's almost always something amazing to look forward to. Okay, so where are the 2026 Winter Olympics happening? This is the exciting part. The 2026 Winter Olympics are happening in Italy, specifically in 2 beautiful cities in northern Italy, Milan and Cortina d'Ampezzo. Milan and Cortina. Milan. Most people know Milan. It's one of the most famous cities in the world. Fashion capital. Incredible food. Beautiful architecture. The Duomo Cathedral. The whole thing. It's a massive, vibrant international city. And then Cortina d'Ampezzo. Now, if you don't know Cortina, let me tell you something. It is stunning. It's a small mountain town in the Dolomites, which is a mountain range in northeastern Italy. And the Dolomites they look like something out of a fantasy movie. Like seriously, giant rocky peaks, snow-covered slopes, little villages tucked into the valleys. It's the kind of place where you look around and think, this can't be real. Someone painted this. And that's where they're going to hold the alpine skiing events, which makes total sense, because the mountains there are absolutely perfect for it. So anyway, Milan and Cortina, that's the combination. The opening and closing ceremonies are going to be held at the iconic San Siro Stadium in Milan. Well, actually, they've discussed a few different venues, but the heart of it, the big show, is centered around Milan. And then the actual snow sports are spread across the mountain regions nearby. I have to be honest with you. When they announced Italy as the host country, I had a very strong reaction. And that reaction was, lucky. I mean, come on. The Winter Olympics. In Italy, the food alone would be worth the trip. You're watching the greatest athletes in the world compete, and then you go have the best pasta of your life? That's not a vacation. That's a dream. You know, I want to share something personal with you for a second, because I think it'll help you understand why I love the Winter Olympics so much. I was about 8 years old, and it was a February night. Cold outside, super cold. We were in the middle of winter. My dad had the TV on in the living room, and I walked in and asked what he was watching. And he said, "Come sit down, buddy. You're about to see something amazing." And we watched figure skating together. And I remember being completely hypnotized by it. Like, I could not look away. These athletes were spinning and jumping and landing on a tiny blade on ice, and they made it look so effortless, so graceful. My dad looked at me and said, "You know how long they practice to be able to do that?" And I said, "I don't know, a year." And he laughed. He said, "Try their whole lives." That stuck with me, that idea that behind every beautiful jump, every perfect spin, every smooth routine, there are years and years and years of early mornings and hard falls and pushing through pain and doubt and starting all over again. That's what sports teaches you, I think. Not just skill, but persistence. So anyway, that's when I fell in love with the Winter Olympics. On a cold February night, sitting next to my dad on the couch, watching figure skaters on TV. Good memory. Really good memory. Okay, let's talk about the actual sports, because there are so many great ones, and I want to highlight a few that I think are especially worth watching if you're new to the Winter Olympics. So first, figure skating. We already talked about it a little bit, but figure skating is really special. It's one of the most watched events at every Winter Olympics, and honestly, it deserves every bit of attention it gets. It's a combination of athleticism and artistry. These athletes are doing quad jumps. That means they spin 4 times in the air before landing, on ice, on a tiny blade, while wearing a costume and moving to music, and they make it look beautiful while they do it. The scoring system is complicated, I'm not going to lie. Even I don't fully understand all the details, but you don't need to understand the scoring to appreciate what you're seeing. Just watch it and let your jaw drop. That's enough. Next up, alpine skiing. This is the downhill racing. Skiers go down incredibly steep mountain slopes at speeds that are just terrifying. Genuinely terrifying. We're talking 130, 140, sometimes even 150 kilometers per hour. On skis, on a mountain, turning and twisting through gates. One wrong move, and you're tumbling down the slope. And they do it voluntarily. They choose to do this. Laughs and shakes head. Athletes are a different breed, I'm telling you. Then there's snowboarding. Now, snowboarding has a younger, cooler vibe than some of the other Winter Olympic sports. The halfpipe event, where snowboarders go up and down the sides of a giant half-cylinder of snow and do tricks in the air, is one of the most exciting things to watch in all of sports. Seriously, the creativity, the height, the style these athletes bring to it, it's incredible. And then there's ski jumping, which I genuinely cannot watch without my stomach dropping a little bit. These athletes go down a ramp, launch off the end, and fly through the air, And I mean fly. Sometimes 100, 130, even 140 meters. That's basically the length of a football field. In the air. On skis. I actually looked this up once. And the feeling ski jumpers describe at the moment they leave the ramp is, well, one athlete described it as the most silent, peaceful moment you can imagine. And then you're flying through the air at crazy speeds, obviously. But for just a fraction of a second, silence. I thought that was beautiful. So anyway, there are actually around 109 events at the 2026 Winter Olympics across 7 different sports categories. 7. So whatever kind of action you enjoy, speed, grace, power, precision, there is something there for you. Let me talk about the host cities a little more, because I find this stuff really fascinating. Milan. Okay, most people think of Milan as a fashion city, and yes, it absolutely is. It's where all the big fashion brands do their shows. It's chic, it's stylish, it's sophisticated. But Milan is also a city with an incredibly rich history. The cathedral, the Duomo di Milano, took nearly 600 years to complete. 600 years! Like, generations of people worked on that building. Isn't that wild? And then there's the Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci's famous painting, which is actually painted directly on the wall of a small church in Milan. Not in a museum. On a wall. And it's still there. And it's stunning. So Milan is bringing this incredible historical and cultural backdrop to the Winter Olympics. The opening ceremony is going to be spectacular. I can promise you that. Italians know how to put on a show. They have style like nobody else in the world. And then Cortina d'Ampezzo. I just have to mention this. Cortina has actually hosted the Winter Olympics before, back in 1956. So it's kind of like a homecoming for Cortina. 70 years later, the Olympics are coming back, and the town is ready. They've been preparing for years. New facilities, renovated venues, everything upgraded and polished. There's something really poetic about that, I think. A place that was part of Olympic history 7 decades ago, getting to be part of it again, carrying that legacy forward. That's pretty cool. Now, athletes. Let's talk about some of the athletes who might be competing at these games. And I want to be a little careful here, because, injuries happen, and sometimes athletes retire or change plans. So I'm going to talk more about events and nations to watch, rather than making too many specific predictions. But what I can tell you is this. The United States always has a very strong team at the Winter Olympics. American figure skaters, snowboarders, speed skaters, ice hockey players. The USA usually shows up ready to compete. And of course, I say that with full American pride. But honestly, the beauty of the Winter Olympics is that it's not just about the USA. Norway consistently dominates the cross-country skiing events. They are absolutely extraordinary at it. The Netherlands has produced some of the fastest speed skaters in history. Canada is a powerhouse in ice hockey and figure skating. Japan has been growing incredibly strong in figure skating. Some of the most technically gifted figure skaters in the world in recent years have come from Japan. And then there are always the surprises. The smaller countries. The athletes who nobody expected. The ones who come from a country where it barely snows, and somehow they're competing in the Winter Olympics. And sometimes they win. Or they don't win, but they compete with so much heart that everyone falls in love with them anyway. Those are always my favorite stories. The underdog stories. The ones that make you feel something. So anyway, whoever ends up competing, whoever ends up standing on that podium, there will be stories worth watching. There always are. Okay, I have to tell you this story. I have to. It's embarrassing, but it's funny, and you're going to enjoy it, I promise. So a few years ago, around the time of the last Winter Olympics, my friends and I decided to go ice skating. Like, at one of those indoor rinks. And I had not been ice skating since I was maybe 10 years old. Maybe 11. A long time ago. And I had this idea in my head, this completely delusional idea, that because I had watched so much figure skating on TV, I would somehow be decent at it. Like, I'd absorbed some of the skill just by watching, which is not how skills work, obviously. But that's what my brain told me. So we get to the rink. My friends have been before. They're not amazing, but they're okay. They can move around without falling. And I put on my skates, and immediately, the moment I stand up, I know I am in trouble. Like, my ankles just gave up. They just immediately decided to tilt sideways. Both of them. At the same time, I get on the ice holding onto the wall like my life depends on it. And my friend Mike, if you're watching this, I love you, but I'm telling this story. Mike skates up to me very casually and says, "Come on, man, just let go of the wall." And I said, "Mike, I will absolutely not be doing that." So I'm holding the wall, moving very slowly around the edge of the rink. Little kids, like 5-year-olds, are skating past me, backwards. One kid looked at me with what I can only describe as pity. A 5-year-old pitied me. And then at one point, I decided, okay, I'm going to try. I'm going to let go of the wall. Just for a moment. Just to prove I can do it. I let go of the wall. I immediately fell down. Not gracefully. Not a little stumble. A full, spectacular, arms flying everywhere fall. Right on the ice. In front of everybody. Pauses for effect. Then laughs. My friend Sarah skated over and said, and I quote, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I am fine. I meant to do that." Which was not true. I did not mean to do that. So anyway, long story short, I have enormous respect for figure skaters. Enormous, boundless respect. What they do is superhuman. Absolutely superhuman. And I say that as someone who cannot stand up on ice for more than 30 seconds. All right, let me get a little more serious for a second. Not too serious, but a little. Because I think sometimes when we watch the Olympics, any Olympics, summer or winter, it's easy to just focus on the competition. Who wins? Who loses? How many medals does my country get? And I get it. I do that too. I cheer for Team USA with everything I've got. But I think the Olympics are about something more than that. Something bigger. The Olympic Games were created, or recreated in modern times, I should say, on a very simple idea. That sport can bring people together. That for a few weeks we can put aside all the things that divide us, politics, history, conflict, and we can sit next to each other and watch human beings push the absolute limits of what the human body can do. And we can appreciate that together. I know. The Olympics are not perfect. There's politics involved. There's money involved. There are controversies. I'm not pretending it's some perfect utopia. It's not. But there are moments. Real, genuine moments. Like when an athlete finishes their race and the crowd, which is filled with people from completely different countries, different cultures, different languages, all gives a standing ovation together. Because what that person just did was simply remarkable. And we all recognized it at the same time. I live for those moments. I really do. There's a story from the 1988 Winter Olympics, many years ago, obviously, about an athlete called Eddie Edwards. He was a British ski jumper, and he was not particularly good at ski jumping, to be completely honest with you. In fact, he finished last, dead last, in both of his events. But the crowd loved him, completely and totally, because he showed up. He competed at the Olympics. He did something that millions of people dream about and never get to do. He wasn't the fastest or the most graceful or the most skilled, but he was there. He was fully, completely there. And I think that's something worth celebrating. So anyway, that's what the Olympics mean to me. Not just gold medals, but the whole human thing of it. Trying, falling, getting up, trying again, doing it on the biggest stage in the world. Okay, let's get practical for a second, because some of you might be thinking, Jake, this all sounds amazing, but how do I actually watch this? Great question. Really great question. So the answer depends on where you live. In the United States, the main broadcaster for the Olympics is NBC and their streaming service Peacock. They cover pretty much every event. Every single one. Live coverage, replays, highlights, interviews, the whole package. NBC has been the home of the Olympics in the US for many, many years. If you're in Europe, you'll probably find coverage on your local national broadcaster. Many European countries have their own dedicated Olympic coverage. And for everyone else, a lot of the official Olympic content is also available on the Olympics' own YouTube channel and social media. Highlights, clips, behind-the-scenes stuff. So even if you don't have access to the full broadcast, you can catch a lot of great moments online for free. My personal strategy for watching the Winter Olympics is to follow a few specific events that I really care about, figure skating and skiing for me, and then just let the rest surprise me. Because inevitably, every single Olympics, there's something I wasn't planning to watch that suddenly becomes the most compelling thing I've ever seen. Like one time I turned on the curling event. Now, curling, if you don't know, is this sport where teams slide a heavy stone across the ice toward a target, while teammates sweep the ice in front of it with brooms. It sounds very, calm. On paper, it sounds like the least exciting sport in the world. But I started watching it, and an hour later, I was on the edge of my seat. I was invested. I was nervous. I was yelling at the TV. Curling is actually really strategic. It's like chess on ice. And once you understand what's happening, it is genuinely gripping. So, do not sleep on curling. I'm being serious. Give it 15 minutes, and you'll be hooked. I keep coming back to the fact that this Olympics is in Italy. And I apologize because I know this is a sports video, but I need to just take 1 minute to appreciate the Italian food situation. Okay, if I were going to Milan for the Olympics, and by the way, I would love nothing more in this world, I would do the following things. First, risotto. Milan is famous for risotto alla Milanese. That's risotto with saffron. Golden-colored, rich, creamy, absolutely incredible. If you've never had it, imagine the most comforting bowl of food you've ever eaten, and then multiply that feeling. Second, pizza in Naples, which is like a quick train ride from Milan. Neapolitan pizza. True Neapolitan pizza with the perfect soft crust and the simple ingredients. Just good tomato, good mozzarella, fresh basil. Nothing complicated. Just perfect. Third, gelato. Obviously, every single day. Multiple times a day. No regrets. And then pasta. Obviously pasta. Every kind of pasta. Carbonara in Rome. Bolognese in Bologna. Cassio, e pepe, anywhere you can find it. I would eat my way across Italy while watching the Olympics, and I would be the happiest man alive. So anyway, if you're lucky enough to be attending in person, please enjoy the food. Do it for all of us who are watching from home. Oh, I almost forgot. The mascots. Every Olympics has mascots, right? Little characters that represent the games. The 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics mascots are called Tina and Milo. Tina is a snowflake. She represents the winter and the snow and the mountains. And Milo is a piece of ice. He represents the ice sports and the elegance of the games. Now, I have to say, mascot design is a very specific art, and people always have opinions about it. Some Olympic mascots become instantly iconic. Some are, let's say, beloved in their own unique way. But Tina and Milo, they're cute. They're colorful. They have this nice Italian energy to them. And kids are going to love them, which is the whole point, really. Because the Olympics is also about the next generation. The kids watching at home who are going to be inspired to pick up a pair of ice skates or ski boots or a snowboard. The future Olympians who are sitting on the couch right now, not even knowing yet what their path will be. That's a really nice thought, isn't it? Okay, I want to talk to you directly for a second, because this is an English learning channel, and I haven't forgotten that. Not even for a second. The Winter Olympics is actually a fantastic opportunity to practice your English. And here's why. The Olympics are covered by English media everywhere. NBC, BBC, CNN, ESPN, The New York Times, all of them writing and broadcasting in English. So if you want to practice reading English, you can read articles about your favorite events, your favorite athletes, the results, the drama. If you want to practice listening, you can watch the English language broadcasts and commentary. And the great thing is, sports commentary uses a lot of very natural, conversational language. Real expressions, real emotions, things like, "He absolutely nailed that landing." "She's been training for this moment her entire life." "What a comeback. I cannot believe what I just witnessed." "This crowd is going absolutely wild." These are real expressions, real English, the kind of English people use when they're genuinely excited and caught up in the moment, not the kind you find in a textbook. And then there's another thing, the interviews with athletes. When an athlete wins a gold medal, and they're standing there with tears in their eyes, and they talk to the reporter, those are some of the most authentic, emotional, real uses of English you will ever hear. Because in that moment, nobody is being careful about their grammar. They're just talking from the heart. I always say, if you want to learn how English really sounds, not how it's written in a textbook, but how it actually sounds when real people feel real things, watch those interviews. Because that's it. That's the real thing. So anyway, use the Olympics as your classroom. It's the best classroom I can think of. All right, last section before I wrap up. Let's talk predictions. A little bit of fun. Now, I'm not a professional sports analyst. I want to be very clear about that. I'm just a guy who loves the Winter Olympics and has opinions. Strong opinions. My prediction? Norway is going to have an incredible games. They almost always do in the cross-country skiing and biathlon events. They're just absolutely dominant. If you've never watched biathlon, that's cross-country skiing combined with rifle shooting, please add it to your list. It sounds bizarre, but it is one of the most intense, dramatic events in all of winter sports. These athletes ski at incredibly fast speeds, slow their heart rate down enough to aim a rifle at tiny targets, and then start skiing fast again. The combination of endurance and precision is unbelievable. I'm also predicting fireworks in the figure skating competition. I don't know who the names will be by the time these games happen, because that world changes so fast. New young skaters are emerging all the time. But the figure skating competition at any Winter Olympics is always electric. There will be a moment. There always is. And ice hockey. The ice hockey tournament at the Winter Olympics is always intense. Always dramatic. If NHL players are allowed to participate, which has been back and forth over the years, it becomes even more special because you get to see the very best players in the world representing their countries. Canada versus USA in ice hockey? Come on, that doesn't get more exciting than that. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. And snowboarding. The half-pipe and slope-style events in snowboarding and skiing freestyle have been getting more and more spectacular every Olympics. The athletes are pushing the sport to new places every single year. The tricks they're doing now, the amplitude, the rotations, the difficulty, it's things that people thought were impossible 10 years ago. So anyway, I expect to have my mind blown. Multiple times. That's my official prediction. Okay, all right, we've been talking for a while now, and I just want to say thank you. Seriously, thank you for sitting here with me and listening to me ramble about the Winter Olympics for all this time. I hope you learned some English today. I hope you heard some natural expressions, some conversational phrases, some real words that real people use, because that's always the goal here, not just to give you information, but to give you real English along with it. And I hope more than anything, you're a little bit more excited about the 2026 Winter Olympics now than you were when you started this video, because it deserves the excitement. It really does. Milan and Cortina, February 2026. Some of the most talented, dedicated, extraordinary athletes on the planet, competing on the most beautiful stage in the world, in one of the most beautiful countries in the world, with incredible food nearby. It's going to be something special. I really believe that. And you know what I always think about when the Olympics happen? I think about all the different people watching at the same time, all around the world. Different languages, different time zones, different situations. Some watching on big screen TVs, some on tiny phone screens, some in warm houses, some in the middle of the night, because the time difference is rough. But all watching the same thing, all holding their breath at the same moment when an athlete stands at the top of the slope, all cheering at the same moment when someone crosses the finish line, all feeling something, the same something at the same time. I think that's pretty amazing. In a world that sometimes feels very divided, I think that's genuinely amazing. So anyway, enjoy the games, everyone. Cheer for your country. Cheer for the underdog. Cheer for the athlete who falls and gets back up. Cheer for the impossible landing and the perfect score and the tears on the podium. And practice your English while you do it. You're learning and watching the Olympics at the same time. That is a pretty great deal. All right, that's it from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps the channel more than you might think. And if you're new here, please subscribe. New videos coming all the time. Real conversations, real English, real stories. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.